everyone. My name is David Njoku, and welcome once again to Legal Talks with David. In our podcast here, we discuss legal issues, controversies, bring up our legal opinions, and just discuss everything happening in the legal world, well, as it relates to Nigeria and internationally. So today, we'll be discussing on a controversial topic. I mean, it's a trending online saga that is going on between Martins Vincent, popularly known as VeryDarkMan, and Linus Williams Ifejirika, popularly known as Blord. So today's episode, we'll be discussing the legal implications of their actions, whether or not they have the right to sue or can be sued, and if possible, who likely is going to receive the judgment in his favor. So before going further, a brief introduction of all this whole saga going on is that Blord bought some iPhone 17 and brought to Nigeria that he's selling. Now, according to him, this is not the real iPhone 17, but it is an upgraded version of XR. And so he stated it clearly that if you want to buy it, he's selling it for 450,000 naira. So anyone who wants to buy it should come and grab his own copy. And he said it's the original iPhone, just that it is XR in iPhone 17 body. So after making this advertisement public, then VeryDarkMan came and stated that he doesn't have a problem with the product that he mentioned, that is actually the truth of the product, that the product is XR in iPhone 17 body and is the original iPhone, just that is an upgraded version of XR. So what he said, however, where he's having his issue is in the price of the iPhone. So he said that the iPhone, if you are buying it, because according to him, he has contacts there that can purchase the iPhone and even bring it down to Nigeria. So he said if you are buying it and look at the logistics, everything, the shipping, and bringing it down to Nigeria, that is not more than 280,000 naira. So VeryDarkMan is now of the opinion that Blord wants to extort from Nigerians, and that adding almost double the amount is a huge extortion, and that he will not watch such a thing happen. So he came to review the actual price if you are coming to get it, and even shared some contacts which people can use to get the iPhone and get it at a cheaper price, cheaper than the price of Blord. So now this must have vexed Blord, and him being a human probably became emotionally upset, and he now went further to have a conversation in his Instagram story that anybody who would provide an obscene material of VeryDarkMan should come to his DM, that he will pay the person in the sum of 500k, and somebody provided it. He transferred the money to the person and posted it on his IG story. So after posting that video, it blew up, it became viral, and it now became a new dimension to the problem. Many people criticized him, many people supported him. They were of the view that he shouldn't have gone that far. Some people were like, he has the right to do so because VeryDarkMan allegedly disrupted his business. So now, judging from the facts of this case, here's my own legal opinion. What I believe, I will judge based on the two sides. I'll give my own opinion. I'll be judging both. I'll be judging on the two sides, and also saying what I feel should be, if it becomes a case, saying what I feel should be the law, or what should be the judgment of the court if it comes to the court. So, looking at this case, first and foremost, the action of VeryDarkMan, one would say, was unnecessary. One would say was unnecessary because the pricing of Blord's phone does not in any way affect him directly. And if he wants to sell it at that price, he has the right to sell it. He has such right to sell it at that price, because even if VeryDarkMan is alleging that it is exorbitant, there's no particular statute or no particular law that pinpoints this is an exorbitant rate or this is an expensive rate. So it is still a question that will be posed to the court and asked, okay, to what extent can we say something has degenerated to extortion? To what extent can we conclude? So it cannot amount to extortion, because if he's selling it at that price, and probably VDM has a source that is selling it cheaper, the only thing he can do is to advertise for his source, and two of them will now enter into a competitive market. So if Blord feels threatened, all he needs to do is to increase the value of his product. So this all boils down to business strategy. It's more of a business strategy, trying to make use of the use the market dynamics in your favor. One would argue that it's not necessarily extortion, and plus there was no element of misrepresentation. Yes, there was no element, because if it was fraudulent, for instance, now he came and he publicly said that this is the original iPhone 17 and was selling it like that, then there's now elements of fraud, and he will be held criminally liable pursuant to section 419 of the criminal code. So there was no elements of misrepresentation or intent to defraud the public. So it even shows to an extent his level of transparency, that he was transparent enough to reveal that this is not the original. So you can't say it is fraudulent, because he disclosed all the material facts. He disclosed all the true nature of that product. So that is that on the side of Blord. So now, if I'm to defend VDM, I would say that because of one can argue that such a price that he brought to the market is actually a form of extortion, in the sense that if one can get that phone and get it for, let's say, 280,000 or even less, and somebody can get that phone at that amount, and then Blord wants to sell his own for as high as 450,000 naira, that it amounts to extortion, and it violates sections 72 of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act, FCCPA, 2018. So now, what does this section say? I'll read. The section says, Section 72, Sub 2. It says, for the purpose of this act, this section is bordering on dominant abuse. It prohibits abuse of dominant position. So the section says, and I quote, for the purpose of this act, an abuse of dominant position occurs when one or more undertakings in a dominant position A. charge an excessive price to the detriment of the consumers. So we can claim that he charged an excessive price to the detriment of the Nigerian consumers or anybody that will be purchasing that product, because initially we were not aware of the market price until VeryDarkMan released it in public that, see, this is the actual this thing. If you want to get it brought to Nigeria, the shipping and everything, getting it to Nigeria. So it shows that for Blord to double the amount shows the level of greed that he may possess to sell it for that kind of amount, because the consumer protection in Nigeria, they act as a watchdog to make sure that everybody is getting the value of their product. And even if you want to sell it, because there's no statute regulating the actual price of what you sell your product. So in as much as the country or the government cannot sell it at this particular amount, but you have to sell it at a reasonable amount. And what will determine the reasonableness of a price is left for the court to decide. So, judging from that particular section, one can say that yes, he is guilty. He committed a crime. He committed an offense. Also, I'll be quoting another section. Section 24, Sub 1, Paragraph A and B of the Cybercrime Act, 2015. Because remember, after the whole scenario, Blord went to release an obscene material on his Instagram story, which is against the Nigerian law and against Instagram terms and conditions and their community standards. So the section 24 sub 1 of the Cybercrimes Act said, any person who knowingly unintentionally sends a message or other matter by means of computer system or network that A is grossly offensive, pornographic, or of an indecent, obscene, or menacing character, or causes any such message or matter to be seen, sent, or B, he knows to be false for the purpose of causing annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction, insult, injury, criminal intimidation, enmity, hatred, ill will, or needless anxiety to another, or causes such a message to be sent. Now, a person who commits this offense under this act shall be liable on conviction to a fine of not more than 7 million naira or imprisonment for a term of not more than 3 years, or both such fine and imprisonment. So what this section is saying is that for this act that Blord has committed, he is found criminally liable pursuant to section 24 sub 1 paragraph A and B of this section. So he's liable to fine of 7 million naira or 3 years imprisonment, or he will pay both the fine and serve them in prison. So you can see that Blord actually committed an offense. Also, let's go to section 37375 of the Criminal Code that talks about defamatory matter. So the section says, subject to the provisions of this chapter, any person who publishes any defamatory matter is guilty of a misdemeanor and is liable to imprisonment for 1 year. And any person who publishes any defamatory matter, knowing it to be false, is liable to imprisonment for 2 years. So we can say that Blord published a defamatory matter. He had no right whatsoever to publish such obscene material in the media space for the purpose of just getting back at VDM. It was unprofessional and a criminal offense. In my own view, a criminal offense. So, judging from all these cases, we can see that Blord actually committed a grievous harm on this thing, on VeryDarkMan. He can also be sued. Blord can also be sued on civil law for defamation. The character and personality of VeryDarkMan, he was defamed. He brought him to the public in such a manner of making him to appear irresponsible, not trustworthy, to just with the intention to bring down his reputation. That was the sole intent and the purpose for him publishing such material on his Instagram story. And the funny part lies where he said in another statement, in another statement he posted on his story, that he would open a website and be posting his the obscene materials he obtained. He'll be publishing them in that website and be charging people for 2,000 naira. Charging people for 2,000 naira in order to watch the videos. That is even another crime on its own. Another criminal offense on its own. So when one is doing something, that's why we say you need to be abreast of the law. You need to know what is actually the law. You might be doing something as fun or maybe as cruise. You just want to have fun or you want to get back at somebody. But you will not know that, like they say, 2 wrongs cannot make a right. So when you want to do something, you have to do it right. So if somebody does something that you do not feel okay with, please, especially if it's a serious matter, consult your lawyer before taking any action. Because you can perform an action that will even hold you liable and you won't even be able to sue the other person. So now, even if Blord wants to come and sue VeryDarkMan, let's assume, for disrupting his business, that instead of VeryDarkMan to advertise his own product, he came to attack his own business. If he wants to sue him now, the court will say, but you published an obscene material. He who comes to equity must come with clean hands. So if you want justice, you yourself must not be giving other people injustice. So if I'm asked that if this matter is brought in court, who will likely most win the case, I would say that it will most likely go in favor of VeryDarkMan, because VeryDarkMan, he only acted as a consumer watchdog. He was not there to sabotage Blord's business. He was only there to create awareness, protect the well-being of the consumers, so that they will know, okay, we can get it. This is where you will get it at the cheapest, not necessarily cheapest rate. This is where you get at the genuine rate, because you also have to add your profit. But when adding profit, it doesn't mean you add profit that is so that is so high that it now turns to extortion. So VDM did not commit any serious crime. He didn't commit any serious crime. He can only be, maybe where the only part they can actually focus on him was maybe in the aspect of him interfering in the business of Blord, because they might argue that he's a meddlesome interloper. He shouldn't have interfered into his business, that he has no interest in that business, that is all marketing strategy, that if people know the value of your product, they will be willing to buy it at any price, regardless of what other people are selling that's their own similar product at. So it's all about the value, the way you package it and all that. So that is the part he may be argued on. But aside that, I don't see how this matter, if brought before court, would go in favor of Blord. But however, it's left for the court to decide. I'm not the court and I'm not a lawyer. This is just my own legal opinion. What I feel would be the case had it was brought to court, and the legal implications of the both parties. So, and please note, any advice we render here is mainly for educational purpose. Do not take anything for legal advice. If you need proper legal advice, please consult your legal practitioner in your jurisdiction. They'll be able to give you proper legal advice. Here, we just want to create enlightenment and tell the public the legal implications of certain matters that occur in our everyday lives. So, what do you think? Do you think that what Blord did was right, or what VDM did was right? Did VDM have the right actually to talk down and make a message that tend to disrepute the image of Blord's business? Or do you think that Blord was right to attack him and even publish that obscene material? Because you can argue that the obscene material was available in the internet even before now. It is not something that is new. And moreover, you can also argue that Blord is not the one who brought in the internet, because somebody sent it to him. So what do you think is the legal implications of this matter? Who do you think is right? Who do you think is wrong? Let me know in the comment section. Remember to follow, like, and share our podcast to your friends and families. And we've opened a YouTube channel, so those who love YouTube can go to YouTube, watch and stream our episodes there directly, both in YouTube and YouTube Music. Our episodes and podcasts are available in our podcast directory: Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Spotify, YouTube, only to mention but a few. So you can stream it from anywhere, including AudioMac. You can stream it from anywhere. And don't forget to share your opinions with me. What do you think? My name remains David Njoku, and I am the owner and the founder of this podcast. So, and I'm a law student in Nigeria. So the main aim, like I always say, of this podcast is to generate an interactive platform for all of us to discuss legal issues, to discuss law-related causes, and educate ourselves on what is happening in the legal world. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for more educative episodes like this, and keep it locked. Have a nice day.